Hey y'all, welcome back. We're now on the portion of the videos in which we're going to discuss and ponder about a very, very interesting lady. Extremely interesting. In fact, to quote myself, sensational lady in which has fallen off the face of the earth. Her name is Alexa Midnick, and a lot of people who've researched Parkland, in particular the incident we're talking about, a lot of people took immediate interest in Alexa Midnick. And as I alluded to before, as far as the internet goes, she's popular, very popular. A lot of people have discussed her. Without further ado, without keeping everybody in suspense, for those who haven't seen this clip, it's going to go ahead and roll for you. This is Alexa Midnick on that fateful day, February the 14th, 2018.
I actually was in the bathroom at the moment, and I came back to my classroom and I knocked on the door, and the fire alarm went off, and principal came on the speaker and just said, everyone needs to evacuate right now. So that's what we did. As I was going down the stairs, I heard a couple shots fired. Everyone was freaking out, saying that it was a gun. And as we were walking, the whole class together, I actually was speaking to the suspect, Nicholas Cruz. And as I was speaking to him, he seemed very, I don't know what the word I want to say is, but he was trouble in middle school, so I kind of joked to him about it and said, I'm surprised you weren't the one who did it. And he just gave me a huh? So that's really what happened.
You were walking down the hall, he had already fired at that time?
Yes, sir, with him.
Weren't you scared?
In the moment I wasn't, because there was obviously definitely another shooter involved, but...
Oh, you think he was not the only one?
No, definitely not.
Why do you say that?
Because when shots were fired, I saw him after the fact. So, and the shots were coming from the other part of the building. So there definitely had to be two shooters involved, I believe.
That's the first I've heard of that. Did you see any other students who were wounded?
No, sir.
All right. So that's just to get a refresher, and we're going to discuss that in further detail in the latter part of this video. But before we go on, I want to reiterate 2 points that I stated in the first video in this series, and that is that, number one, there are people who want to take away your guns. It's not for your safety. It's not for your well-being, right? They don't necessarily know even why they're doing what they're doing, or why they do what they do, all right? That can be debated. But, however, it's not going to be a good thing, not for you, especially if you're not a criminal, a violent criminal, all right? It's not going to be a good thing for you. And that is the whole point, basically. And then secondly, there are people who are who lie, and to the point of being liars, all right? And when those people are found out to be liars, I think it's a healthy practice to maybe investigate all what they said before, because all those things may have very well been a lie, because that person is, in fact, a well-documented liar, all right? We're going to discuss those in very great detail. Definitely stay tuned for that. We're definitely going to discuss those concepts to no end. All right. But before we go on any further, I want to stress that, this Parkland situation is kind of a window. Right? I kind of specialize in it, and some people specialize in it. Some people specialize in these mass shootings and stuff in particular. And that's stuff that we're not even supposed to talk about. We're not supposed to talk about that stuff, y'all, all right? So let's keep it between you and me. That, okay, the theory that I can't help but have come to at this point, and like I said, it's a living theory, is that those people who are lying, whoever they are, they're in fact liars, and they've lied a lot. They've lied to the point that we don't even know. We can't even understand, right? And, it's a lot of speculation in regards to, say, Donald Trump, and say regards to this next upcoming election, in regards to China and the kind of power that they wield over us, to include and especially Hollywood and the NBA and the NFL, and also you already know what it is. You can't say nothing bad about China, all right? Even if it's a joke. But the thing is, yeah, we're gonna say bad things about China, even if it is a joke. But at the same time, they probably don't treat all their people so well, and that's not good. It's just not good for business. All right. There's a lot of things that could be said about China. All right. And I don't know. I get the feeling that it's all interrelated, and that's why we're gonna concentrate on Parkland. But at the same time, I do want to stress that there's never a reason to panic. However, there is a sense of urgency, and that some people are lying to the point is that they're going to be caught lying about crazy, unbelievable things. All right. Yeah, I don't want to get too far off in the weeds. But like I said, Alexa Midnick, who we showed earlier, well, that went crazy, and that went crazy from day one. Right now, we're going to take a look at, say, Twitter. And if you hashtag Alexa Midnick, like I said, February 15th, 2018, this was, right exactly when it happened. All right. People were already on Twitter. People were already hashtagging the name Alexa Midnick. All right. You might have seen the video. You may have seen pictures of this lady. Lord knows that pictures did surface on the internet of this young lady. Right. So the thing is, very, very popular for many good reasons, right? So, very popular, very sensational. And just real briefly, I might add, we're going to discuss it in great detail later, is most people aren't sensational when it comes to Parkland. Most of the people who have become, in a way, famous, truly are going around the nation, and on book tours and all this stuff. Those people who are so-called famous, none of them are anywhere close to Alexa Midnick's type of just overall sensationalism. All right. And we're going to discuss all sort of details that are very sensational. But here's on Twitter the kind of reactions this person was posting about Alexa Midnick. And, as it turns out, I don't think it's a secret that Alexa Midnick was not a student at the school. She was, in fact, a former student. And simple questions come to mind, not to accuse anybody of anything, but why exactly was Alexa Midnick at the school? Were they having some sort of event on February 14th? Was there a reason why she should have been there at that school, even though it's her former school? Just very simple questions. And I'm not implying that there aren't very simple answers. The problem is coming across answers is what's actually kind of difficult. We have a lot of questions here on Twitter. This whole interview, this is by April Torres, you said, this whole interview is just so odd to me. Alexa Midnick, hashtag Alexa Midnick, talking about the interview. So many people talked about the interview. Like I said, sensational, absolutely. And certainly a lot of these tweets were probably censored, all right? A lot of people were probably banned for even talking about it. But this person, L, she says, so apparently Alexa Midnick, the blonde victim, quote victim, at Marjory Stoneman Douglas, who claimed to talk to Cruz, just as we saw, it wasn't even a student at school. And, these are people who are like you and I, just amateur detectives. We're noticing the details. We're trying to put everything in order. The People's Content says Alexa Midnick says she talked to the shooter, Nicholas Cruz, after shots were fired, and believes there was definitely a second shooter. Now, that is how it came off. You could say people misspeak, and maybe she did misspeak. Maybe she misspoke a lot. However, you can understand people's interest and curiosity. It's very natural. Look at her, right? Of course you want to ask her questions. Does anyone else find it odd that 4 of the witnesses interviewed by MSM have a history of being actors and working in film, to include Alexa Midnick? And trust me, I've seen it. I don't know what to make of Alexa Midnick. Problem is, nobody's ever heard from her ever again. Right? Basically. In the public eye, she just went absolutely ghost on everybody. Here's another one from It's Me RBD. Another Alexa Midnick from May 2017 talking about her roomie at UCF. All right, so she's definitely a person. I think people agree that Alexa Midnick was not a student. All right. Problem is, we want answers from her that we cannot get. Official narrative does not add up. Have you ever spoken to Alexa Midnick? And this was at Fred Gutenberg. Thing is, I know that there's no way he ever replied to that. I know that. All right. Basically, I can promise you that. This is some messed up stuff. If it's true, anyone follow Pizzagate? It was coming from Dallas Lashmet, all right? And he's linking a lot of stuff together. And I do see the logic, to be honest. Alexa Midnick, only 2 Facebook accounts with her name that I could find. People really dived into it. Like, they started seeing Facebook accounts. And just to let you know, I saw the Shipack, Pennsylvania thing and everything. I've been in and out. I don't know what to make of the Facebooks, to be honest with you. All right. But very sensational. Like I said, she dropped off the face of the earth. Nobody can ask her anything. And what's more is, I want to take a moment to just remind everybody, in case if they didn't know, that Alexa Midnick herself is pretty much best friends with Meadow Pollack, who her father is also himself become somewhat of a celebrity. All right, or well known to a point. That would be Andrew Pollack. You might have seen him up on CNN and all on television. And basically, a lot of people have a lot of different opinions about Andrew Pollack as to whether or not he might have some nefarious agenda. I couldn't tell you. But what I could say is this. I wonder what the heck he has to say. And I wonder how come nobody in the world, all right, of any sort of authority, of any sort of whatever reputation, why nobody can ask him this question? What's up with Alexa Midnick? How come nobody's asked him this? Is it written in his book? I don't know. We're about to get to the bottom of it, but this is very sensational, isn't it? All right. Here's the thing. Of course, you can imagine it gains some popularity, right? So when things like that happen on the internet, when things gain popularity and people start saying, oh yeah, I agree, this does look absurd. Well, what happens, the next step that happens is Snopes will then cover it and they'll do a fact check on it. That's how you know. That's how you know you're basically talking about stuff that people don't want you talking about, pretty much, and you shut the hell up, is when Snopes brings it up. So with that being said, I wanted to take a look at it. Snopes, you already know, has a reputation. I believe everybody knows what that is. All right, some people don't understand what that is, and let me just say it's very bad. All right, but you can already guess that Snopes would say this is false. And here's the interesting thing about Snopes is there's a lot of people out there who are exactly like Snopes. They'll take a situation and they'll immediately side with the government and the government's official narrative every single time. And they'll kind of mock other people for not doing that sort of thing. All right. So let's go ahead and read what they had to say about it. The conspiracy internet, whatever that is extremely predictable. I guess so. Predictable in the wake of the horrific national tragedies. One of the most common claims made in this cynical, opportunistic online world is the nebulous assertion of a second shooter. All right, and trust me, we're going to go into all sort of second shooter details. You can imagine some sort of second shooter during mass shootings, often associated with suggestions of nefarious but wholly undefined government cover-ups or plots, aka theories. Far-right conspiracy theorist and InfoWars founder Alex Jones, now this is on Snopes, right? Mind you, Alex Jones really hasn't talked about Parkland all that much, all right? Not at all, hardly. And the fact is, a lot of people look at him sideways for not doing that. I really can't blame him. I think he's doing a great job, but far-right conspiracy theorist and InfoWars founder Alex Jones has proposed the existence of a second shooter at the October 2017 Las Vegas shooting. In fact, I could tell you right now that that's actually not the case. Alex Jones really has not said that. the second shooter at the 2016 Pulse nightclub shootings. Now, a lot of people are already looking at me and saying, well, of course, this is Snopes. They're going to bring up all the shootings in which everybody's concentrated on anyways. Right? And all these shootings are steeped in some sort of gun control legislation. We know where this is going. Thing is, yes, we do know where this is going. All right. But just as an example, they talk about eyewitness Alexa Midnick, who believes there was a second shooter, said she was walking with accused suspect Nicholas Cruz, who the media previously spelled as Nicholas, like that even matters. After she heard shots being fired and told Cruz she was glad that it wasn't him, quote, it wasn't him who was doing the shooting at the school in Florida. She was glad about that. Right? And you can imagine just how calmly people walk out of a building as shots are being fired. This is a factual summary of the account of the shooting given to KHOO's sports reporter Matt Musil, who is on assignment in Florida. Now, this is according to Snopes.com, covering the Houston Astros training camp at the time of the shooting. During the interview, the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School student said that she walked out of the school with the, in parentheses, admitted shooter. After the shooting had occurred, remarking to him that I'm surprised that you weren't the one who did it, all right? Because she saw him after the shooting, she told Musil that she figured there had to be a second shooter if Cruz was involved, all right? And so they go back into the interview and what exactly was said. Basically, Snopes, therefore, explains why everybody's theories and assumptions about Alexa Midnick are in fact false, and has a stop sign. And it says stop looking into it. Because Snopes says about the situation is that, yes, this was after Nicholas Cruz had escaped the building. As we simply explained in the previous video, Nicholas Cruz escaped the building. All right. All sort of shots were fired off. Deputies were around the building. What might go without saying, but we might as well say it right now, is Nicholas Cruz did not walk out of that building with anybody else. There was nobody around Nicholas Cruz as he left that building. Might go without saying, but maybe it's important to remember that he's by himself. There is no way that someone's coming out with him. They're all on lockdown. They're all afraid to get shot up, just as they were shot up minutes ago. Nobody's leaving out of that building. So that means that Nicholas Cruz must have talked to Alexa Midnick, you would assume, after he had mixed in with the children on the south side of the campus. Okay, so if he was doing that, wouldn't that be at least a couple minutes after he escaped from the building? It would be at least a good minute and a half after he escapes from the building, which is, I mean, he hadn't fired a shot off for a couple of minutes. So that would mean that would be about 3 or 4 minutes at least where shots are not being fired because Nicholas Cruz is no longer firing shots inside the building. About 3 or 4 minutes goes by and Nicholas Cruz, if he does step out of the building, he goes and then he mixes up with Alexa Midnick. So as far as 3 or 4 minutes is concerned, if you don't hear gunshots for 3 or 4 minutes and you see Nicholas Cruz 3 or 4 minutes later, you might not just automatically assume that he's not the one shooting at the school necessarily. No, it's when you mix in with Nicholas Cruz immediately, as you're hearing gunshots in the distance, that's how you come to the assumption that Alexa Midnick came to. The problem is, we can't ask her no more questions. She's fallen off the earth for probably many different reasons. Right? It could have been very traumatizing. However, it just makes the situation and this particular detail one of the most sensational. All right? And in fact, we're going to discuss all sort of things that are wrong with this timeline that we've been given. We're going to discuss it in great detail. So I appreciate y'all, and holler at me, whatever's popping in the streets. Y'all let me know how it goes. And we're going to just continue down this journey. And I promise you, it's just going to get more absurd from here. I wanted to start off simple. Quite simply, we have a timeline. It don't add up very well, right? We have a sensational person who's been swept under the rug, right? We're about to find out that some liars around here lie at epic proportions, right? And there's no way of even knowing how much they've lied. So I'll catch y'all on the next one, and I appreciate y'all. I'll holla.